He's not even doing the mixed review thing.
We're going off the rails on a bullet train.
Okay,
Welcome.
okay, that's good. Okay. Do it again.
Should I do it now?
Do it again with 100% energy.
We're going off the rails on a bullet train. Welcome.
Welcome to Mixed Reviews.
Welcome to Mixed Reviews,
The
everybody.
bullet train episode.
That was great. That was great, laddies.
It was
Splendid.
great. Tom is the only one who doesn't participate.
Tom's too cool.
Tom's too cool for school.
Tom's just too cool for us.
Tom's
you
the
know?
kind of guy that sits on a train and goes, I don't know, something witty.
Cool story, bro. He's the type of guy to say, cool story, bro.
Cool story, bro.
He's the type of guy to see the box of donuts and go, ooh, don't mind if I do. Tom's the guy to say, that's not very creative. That's what Asha whispered to me.
Oh man, I wish that was funny.
That's not a creative comeback. That's not really creative.
No one's ever really good at creative.
It's okay, you tried. Okay.
Tom's just like something witty. He just said that. He just says something witty. I don't know.
Woodily. I was just still singing Crazy Train.
So we watched Bullet Train today.
We watched Bullet Train.
We did watch Bullet
That
Train.
was fun. That was my pick this week.
Yeah. It was Jackson's turn to pick. Jackson, why?
Why? So David Leitch's new film just came out, Fall Guy, and it got me watching a whole bunch of stuff about like David Leitch and stunt stuff, and I was like, you know what, we should do one of his movies. And in effort to avoid going to the theater 20 times like we did for Batman, I picked a movie that's already out.
Excuse me.
Better out than in.
Better out than in. Let's just watch the movie. Let's wrap this up. Let's watch the movie.
I guess. Let's get this over with, guys.
Oh man. If the mixed theme had lyrics, what would it be?
We watch a movie.
We watched a movie, and then we talked.
And it was good.
We watched
And
a
then we
movie.
talk about the movie.
Then we talk about we watched a movie. And Tom is frozen.
Is he frozen or is he just really static?
No, I think Tom's frozen.
Dumb.
I don't look frozen.
Tom is not frozen for me.
Oh, maybe oh no, Tom's frozen on my video.
Tom is encased in ice right now.
Yeah, I'm cold.
Tom is in the freezer.
I'm cold like that.
I've fixed it. It was
He's
in
cool
the
like that.
I'm like the boom slang.
Oh my gosh, like that snake from the movie.
Speaking about the movie,
That we just watched.
Yeah.
the movie we just watched.
We just watched that.
Borat. We did Borat
is that
this
We did
week.
Borat.
Yeah. I got so many notes about.
At one point, though, he says "my wife."
He does say my wife. I was like, my wife.
He does say "my
Anytime
wife."
anyone in a movie says my wife, I say my wife back
My
to,
wife.
to the movie. I feel a connection to the movie in that way. King in the castle. King.
King in the gas.
You're horrible.
You don't like my Borat impression?
That's really bad.
Well, all we could do now is talk about Bullet Train. What did you guys think? That is a fun movie.
Yeah.
Well, he agrees.
Agreed. I liked it. I thought it was very entertaining.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I guess.
It was entertaining.
I don't know. I'm like trying to not be a hater right now.
You're allowed
I
to be.
I did have fun with the movie. I just think it's like, I don't know. I've seen the movie before, you know? Let it out. Talk about
Let
it.
it out.
Talk
Share
about
your-
your
share
this
your
is a
thoughts.
safe space. This is a safe space to talk about your feelings.
With giving absolutely zero of your opinion, what'd you think of it?
What does that mean?
Movie good.
I definitely enjoyed it more the first time I watched it. I think when I watched it specifically for the podcast, I was more thinking rather than just enjoying it. Because when Tom and I first watched that, like back in 2022, I remember us laughing our butts off,
Yeah.
sitting there watching that and going, that was such a great movie afterwards. But the last two times I watched it,
I had the same experience. I will say though, I was still laughing through the movie
Yeah.
this time around. It's funny and it's entertaining. But there's a lot of other stuff that I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah.
With why I don't think it's one of the best movies ever. Like I did the first time I watched it because it kind of was very captivating.
I sort of had an opposite experience where like I didn't like it that much when I saw it in theaters, and then watching it over again, I'm like, I can appreciate the elements of this that work, but still be critical about the things that
You think you just
I
got a
find
bad
did not
room?
work.
Like when you saw it, there was just no one laughing, so you're like, well, I can't laugh now.
I actually don't remember. I think it was kind of like it wasn't opening weekend. It was definitely like the week after. They weren't like, maybe half full. I'm trying to remember things, but that was a while. Like, when did this movie come out? Like
2022.
2022, yeah.
They were filming this like right throughout COVID. All the promotional stuff I was watching for it was like everyone just being like, yeah, like this was like right of the pandemic we got this script. It was pretty funny to just like, that was a big talking point.
Talking about promotions, they have so many ad placements in that movie.
Yeah, Corona, Fiji.
Product placement. That was me the entire movie. Oh my gosh, look.
Audi cars.
That was the funniest thing when they had the...
Got to make their money somehow.
No, exactly. It was the funniest thing when I clocked that as like a viewer, because like obviously a brand is being shoved into your face. Like I clocked that when the Bad Bunny
Montage.
flashback was happening.
Mhm.
Yeah.
With the Corona.
And then they keep going, and then like afterwards he's talking about who was that guy? What was that guy? And then they flash back to him holding the Corona. I'm like, really?
Oh, Corona guy. Oh.
Oh, that's right. I gotta buy Corona after
That's
this.
right.
That's right. I'm thirsty. Yummy
Write
beer.
that down.
Yummy,
Write that down, Mom.
yummy beer. I love that. That's right.
Pretty ironic too, because Corona was the big meme drink too during COVID.
That's
'Cause of
right.
the name.
Easter egg, guys.
Easter egg, guys. Corona the virus.
Corona the drink.
Oh my goodness.
Not related. Do you guys know that my mom was in Africa or in Peru studying? Anyway, undump that. Tom, I was curious.
What?
You're Madame Webb's son?
Yeah.
Your son Webb? You're Jackson Webb?
Jackson Webb.
Jackson Webb. Jackson.
Jackson Webb.
Yeah, that's definitely not going in. So Tom, there was one thing I was watching it and I went, ooh, there's a good little bit for Tom here, because there was a dual focus shot, and I went, what does Tom think? Because I didn't think it was half bad that time. I thought they did it pretty decently. What do you think?
Hilarious you bring that up, because watching it again, I thought my neurons were firing when I saw that shot, and same as always, I think it's the worst shot cinema's ever created. They did it pretty good in the sense that like
I'm
okay, I'll give you guys 2 seconds.
I'm so sorry. I'm
Tom's
so
such a guy
sorry.
to say my neurons were firing.
That's such a you thing to say, Tom.
So I didn't want to take away from your point, but it just made. I saw Jordan laugh.
Did
I'm-
someone not say that 2 seconds ago?
I did. That was me.
Yeah. God forbid.
No,
God
fuck.
forbid Jorbo says it.
I'm sorry. I'm
When-
sorry. I was just. It got me, and I couldn't stop.
But when Tom says it, fucking cancel him.
No, it's
Cancel.
just like the bit before, and I could hear it in my mind's eye, and then Jackson said it.
Jorbo's the kind of guy to say, hear it in my mind's eye.
He does low-key talk like philosophically. Sometimes it takes me back.
Don't proceed. How dare you?
Just to press pause for a second, can we talk about how much you can support our podcast and unlock bonus content at the same time? Jackson's mom will tell you more.
Hi, I'm Jackson's mom, and I'm here to tell you about our Patreon. Starting at $3 a month, you can unlock early access to videos and podcast episodes, exclusive series, and behind-the-scenes content. You can participate in live episodes and get the ad-free extended versions of this podcast with bits like this.
I'm going crazy over here. It is so hot.
It's like I'm actually sweating bowels.
What?
That was funny.
What did I miss? What about bowels?
No, I don't want to say balls, but I just did.
Asha,
Bowels.
you had a whole bit on Dump It about how big our balls were.
I absolutely did not.
Yes, you-
What are you talking about?
How many
bro?
millimeters or something? What? Was
What?
it?
What are you talking about?
No, that first Dump It.
What in
first
the
Dump
world?
It.
Oh.
What are you chatting
okay.
about?
The first Dump It, we were asking Patreon questions, so you sent me fake questions, and one of them was, how big are your balls?
What?
No, then you said...
Oh, and you answered in milliliters?
Milliliters. Yeah. like the liquid.
You never know. Like based off
never
how
know.
much it can hold? I don't know. How would you measure that? My nuts are 1
Yeah.
liters each.
How big are your balls? Be honest.
Well, that was obviously a bit. I wouldn't. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh.
So, subscribe to our Patreon today. The link is in the show notes. Now, back to the show.
All right, let's get back to it.
I was curious, Tom, what you thought about the dual focus shot, because I saw it and I immediately thought of you when I saw it. I was curious if you thought they did it well this time compared to the one we've talked about in the past.
Just so we're on the same page, that's the shot with Joey King and the...
Oh, what's his name?
Yeah, Lemon. Yeah, that's exactly the shot. And same as always, I hate that shot. I think it's one of the worst shots cinema's ever created. Although, to their credit, it looks better than I've seen it in other movies. Mainly because they keep the depth of field.
That's the same thing I was going to say.
Yeah, they keep it a little bit more realistic in the fact that, like I can use Us as the example, is like the front shot is insanely shallow depth of field, and then they obviously merge that in focus with the shot in the back, so it just doesn't blend. They do it better in this one, but the way I kind of feel is why don't you just stop down to like T22 and actually just keep everything in focus? Like, it seems like a lot of wasted effort to give an effect that kind of like confuses the viewer rather than just like letting it play as a normal shot.
I was also kind of curious too, because I was like, well, it's not like they're having a back and forth kind of over her shoulder. So it could have, and then she turns around and it's still a dual focus shot. So I don't think it needed it. It could have just racked back and forth.
I feel the exact same way. Or like, if there was any, because it was, I don't really know what the intention was for it. Like, I know you're kind of like playing between the ideas that like he's trying to figure out who's actually the villain in this scene and like what's actually going on. So like, I don't know, a case could possibly be made as to why it should have been used there. But in my opinion, it makes more sense to rack focus and actually play it visually with like out of focus shots and out of focus people. Like, the mystery would have been a bit more interesting in that regard.
I thought there was quite a few times in the movie where they did some pretty good and comedic focus pulls. Like, there's a time when he's just past Channing Tatum. Aaron Taylor Johnson passes Tangerine. That's his name in the movie. When Tangerine passes and he's down where the firecrackers are, and then you see it pulls back to Brad Pitt running through the... Like, there's a lot of good use of that. That's the only example I can think of. But
yeah, I mean, especially in a train, like the setting of racking focus from the far end of the car to the front end, it's so natural feeling. Just, they use the focus pull like really well a lot of the time through the movie too. Like, the moments where Tangerines finds the father and then Lemon in the bathroom, like they pull the focus between like the tied up bathroom door handle and then through the glass to where he notices it, and then back, and then he walks over, and that's like a really good sequence of shots just using like tight lenses and focus pulls that it makes no sense to use like a dual focus shot at like a really weird part in the movie, seeing as like they've already mastered the pull.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about it, basically.
I will say, for having to shoot a whole movie on a train, they did a pretty good job keeping the depth and keeping the lighting. Like, think of like the amount of stuff shot in planes where it's like pretty flat lighting, pretty normal, but they had a lot of creative like color uses and lighting uses that, despite being on a train the whole way, it was cinematically well.
Yeah, they always kept that like environment like really interesting. I thought that was pretty impressive with like the
Yeah.
different rooms and stuff.
What's kind of neat is I was listening to a podcast with the editor of the movie.
Another
And
podcast?
Yeah, sorry.
You're cheating on us, Tom? You listen to other podcasts?
What did we do? What did we do wrong?
Supposedly they only had a couple of train cars.
Yeah, didn't they make one for each of the... Like, there was an economy class one, there was the first class one. Anyways, yeah.
They had that, obviously. It's in the movie. But what they did is they didn't have, like, each car being a different car. Like, they would redress one to be another. So they spent X amount of time, like, redressing and then shooting the block in that car and then moving into another car and then redressing. So they really put a lot of effort into, like, dressing up the sets. And then obviously because it was all created, they had like this idea of how the action was going to flow in through it, and then being able to shoot it obviously with such an experienced director and stunt guy, it's like you can really get creative in the space. And because they have such a history in action movies, they are able to do more fun and creative things with like the camera and lighting to keep it more interesting, right?
Even too in the fact of like a lot like the Jackie Chan fights where it's a lot of like physical stuff and using the stuff around them in the fight. There was a lot of that, especially like in the scene with the lady from the boys, the one lady from the boys.
Yuri Bukanashino?
Oh, Karen.
I didn't
Karen!
think that's what he was saying at all.
No, wait.
Isn't her name Karen Fukunawa?
Karen Fukunawa. Yuri is someone else. Yuri's something else. In this movie, it's relevant. I swear to God, no.
Karen
No, we're not
Fukuhara.
canceling me now. No. Nuh-uh. I will not take the fall for this. I have dirt on everyone at this table, and I swear to God I'll use it.
But
Anyways.
in that scene, they use the props and like the water he gets, and he throws him into like all the cupboards and stuff in the glass. But like all the fights in this movie are very physical, very storytelling fights. But they use the trains and stuff to their advantage in that way too.
They obviously wrote that into the show on purpose, right? Because when you have a lead that doesn't like to use guns and he doesn't bring any weapons into the train for the job, like the story sets itself up to need to have like creative action sequences.
Yeah.
And they also wrote in the fact that these characters for some weird reason actually care about the culture on the train. Like being quiet in the quiet car.
That's such a good
Or
scene.
you know, the Momonga car, you know, with the kids in it.
I feel like that's a good action beat. I usually like it when it's like, oh, they're having like a little action sequence, and then that's like cute. They have to like be polite for a second and stop.
Yeah.
But I swear they overuse it. They do it like one
think
too many
so?
times, and it just loses its novelty.
They did 3,
I
I
don't know.
thought. The rule of 3s, man.
No, like not in that one scene. Like I'm saying, like in general. Like,
Oh, in general.
there's
using
that,
yes,
and then
okay, yeah.
and then like the concession stand. That one went forever. Like I thought that was a good end.
yeah, him having to get the other guy, give him money, yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, it almost comes back around to being funny, and then it's not. You know,
Just like me.
just like Jackson. And if you pay $7 for the Patreon, you get all of that
way too much.
exclusive. You can get way too much.
Funny enough, I actually love that scene where that stewardess character comes in and they have to take a break and then he asks for what. Like, I personally feel like that was almost like a perfect beat and like a decent duration, because it's at the end of the day it's meant to be kind of a
Releasing the
comedy
tension
action
too.
Yeah, and my point to that, actually, funny you mentioned releasing the tension, is if you guys recognize how they got into that fight, there's no build up at all. There's no suspense building at all to that entire fight. They just kind of walk into each other and then there's immediate action. And I took a note there saying, like, I really love how the action plays in, right? Like, as things happen, rather than there's suspense and build up to like an action sequence. These people just straight up walk into each other and then they're on like on like a pin drop fighting and beating the crap out of each other. It happens when the wolf walks in to the train, and it happens every time they see each other. There's just immediate fight, like nonstop. So I think
most of the interactions are like that, like him and the Hornet too.
Even
as
the
well.
Hornet with that staff.
it's on site, and I think because they don't have any suspense in the lead up to these action sequences, they have to kind of like add the breathing room in the action sequences. And I think for that one specifically, I mean, I think some of them go on a bit too long, but that one to me was like almost perfect. I thought it was hilarious.
I think in a bubble I like that, but in terms of like I don't know if it fits in well with everything else. Like you mentioned the wolf scene. I think that's it's sort of whiplashy when like stuff like that exists. The concession stand scene where it just starts, and then like so much of the movie is just breaking momentum to like flash back or cut to another scene, or Peter says remember the time, and then it goes da na 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 na, and then it's a flashback. It literally feels Family Guy-esque at some points. Like you mentioned the wolf scene, and I think the wolf scene is the best time in this entire movie where it's paced perfectly. He's about to get off the train, he sees Bad Bunny, cut to his backstory, and it's a gradual build, and it's a great sequence. And then once we get to the train, it pays off in like a fight scene, and then that's just perfect. Like I think that's the best way this movie does this.
I fully agree with you on the sense that like the pacing's not great, but if you remember, he runs into Bad Bunny right at the door, and then it hard cuts out of it. It doesn't play his backstory yet for another like 10 to 15 minutes because you cut to like Lemon and Tangent, and then it comes back. So
Okay.
I fully agree with you there on the fact that like the pacing I think is really confusing.
My bad, guys. I watched it like literally just before we started recording. I had a busy week, what can I say?
And I think the pacing is like really breakneck speed back and forth. And it's, as an avid moviegoer, it's just like you kind of get used to these kind of things. But for like I watched it with Chels, and she couldn't get a grip on the movie. Like she kept getting confused and like was getting thrown around because of the pacing, and you couldn't follow anything in her mind. And I feel like for some people who just want to turn on an action movie specifically, turn off your brain and just like enjoy some, shoot 'em up and fun action sequences, it's almost demanding a little bit too much from like a casual action movie fan. Like Marvel fans, for example, I think, kind of get a kick out of this, but anyone else might have a little bit of a problem following like what's actually happening in the story.
See, like, I might have to disagree somewhat on that, just in the sense that, like, so much of the movie, is calling back to things, but also calling back to things we've already seen, even after, like how many times did they show Bolivia? The thing with the snake was, like, especially, like, it felt condescending.
Seeing the snake
Even
get
the water,
down
the water too. Like every time he took a sip of the water, it'd be like slow motion, like a huge focus. I'm like, yeah.
Here's the thing, right? The thing with the water, right? Like they set up the water, and then he drinks the water, and they close up on the water, just so you remember that it's the water.
The water montage is so good.
And then at the end, they have that entire flashback of the water's origin story. So it's like the conflict I'm having is like, is this is either, you're kind of talking down to your audience, or that's part of the bit.
Or it's the world's greatest Fiji ad. Like, that was crazy. That could literally air for the Super Bowl. That was insane.
But it's like, that moment definitely felt like, are you guys playing into this? Like, was that intentional to kind of show things over and over and over again, even though we had already, like, seen them? Why do that? Where's the joke?
It actually, it was intentional.
Yeah. Okay.
With the interview I listened to from the editor, their motivation for those kind of things is because it was such a heavy, small detail movie, they wanted you to be able to follow things at like a notice. So like with the Bolivia stuff and like all those kind of bigger plot points, obviously it's meant to play into your big reveal with the White Death when he's like telling Brad Pitt's character like why everyone's on the same train with the same contract. So for that aspect, they restate everything so much just so that you are still mentally intact through the whole movie so that the reveal can pay off as best as it can. But I think for the water bottle thing, that might have just been a joke. Like they didn't necessarily talk about it being specifically like reasonable to the plot for it to have so many callbacks and such a long amount of time spent on it. We have more time dedicated to the Fiji water bottle than Bad Bunny's character spends alive on screen.
I don't know. Like this is the two-headed snake of irony. Is like you're also just doing the thing that is sort of the detriment of your film. You know what I mean? So it's like a joke, and we're poking fun at it, but then it's also like you're still doing it. I don't know. Like that comes like right as tensions about like reaching like a peak in an action scene, and then there's just the water bottle origin story. I don't know. I get the intention like being a joke, but it's like I don't know.
Nonetheless, I think they did it well visually in the sense that, like, if you follow the amount of, like, story beats and character growth that happens just even within the fights themselves, if you think of the Quiet Room fight scene, there's so many beats that are followed through within lots of the moments of it where they shoot it at almost like, I say anime style in the sense of you're reading a comic book and you got to see all these different beats. It's like they shoot it that way where they have like 60 shots in the span of that scene where it's just cut. So you like they make a point out of all these different beats are happening. They have very specific shots for very specific motions and beats and stuff. And visually, it's almost like you're reading, following along, going, okay, well, this you're seeing it here, you're seeing it here. Where they can do that well, showing you visually and having like visual notes where, you know, he drinks the water and stuff. So I'm just I'd be like, yeah. Remember my water bottle? Like having it expositionally, they have it visually and they show you and remind you of things.
I think visually they did a really good job, especially with the multiple plots that were happening at the same time. Like if two different fights were happening at the same time, I think visually speaking, they did a really good job of reminding you that they're like happening at the same time when the elder, the guy's dad, and the White Death. Is that his
White
name?
Death.
When those two are fighting, well, also
Tangerine and
is it
Ladybug.
lemon or tangerine?
Lemon and
Lemon
Ladybug.
and okay, you know what I'm talking about.
That's the bit too, is that they like get confused.
Yeah,
so
I got
kinda
confused
funny that
too,
we're
low-key.
like,
But
yeah.
like they throw someone out of a window, and then you follow that guy from the window into the other train, and then see their fight scene.
Those are really good
and I was
transitions.
like, ooh, like lots of back and forth, and then like you go up to the roof and see the guy crawling, and then you go back to the cockpit with them fighting in the cockpit, and then like back to the anywho. I thought it was really a good back and forth where it wasn't just like cutting between one fight to the other fight. Like there was a transition that made it like seamless. But yeah.
I really did enjoy though with the keeping that visually as well as if they used body doubles on this movie for all the stunts and stuff, this would have been a completely different movie. David Leitch is definitely the king, not the king, but in new Hollywood, kind of these movies that he's been doing, he has really done well with teaching the actors, like think of Keanu Reeves, who arguably with The Matrix and stuff has been doing this stuff for a long time, but Keanu Reeves, Bob Odenkirk is someone who's never done action. What's the lady's name from Atomic
Charlize
Blonde?
Theron.
Yeah. But he's been doing these movies with
I know a movie.
The actors and actresses being the stunt people and actually doing majority of the fighting themselves on screens, so it's kinetic. You're not just like you see the actor go like this and then you cut to the stunt person from the other angle going like this and flying back. Like it's kinetic and you can follow the fights really easily in this too because it's actually the performers doing it for most of the time, which I think is a real credit to David Leitch being a stunt performer first and like working on movies.
Yeah, I think that's really cool too because obviously it's not like your typical, well, until the end, your typical like everything's exploding, people are getting thrown out of buildings, you know, people are getting shot and all these things and squibs are going off. Like it's all basically choreographed hand-to-hand combat. and grapples and pushes and prop action, which is like a pretty cool aspect to the fact that like normally you can't have your leads doing stunts because the executives and the producers, don't want to risk their highest paid asset getting injured, right?
Which did end up happening with Aaron Terrell Johnson. Got like a slice in his hand, but anyways.
Yeah, but like that's the benefit to like when you keep your action a little bit more simple in a way, like you can play more into your action with your camera, you can play more into your action with like less heavy hitting action, less heavy hitting kind of things, and choreograph it in a more stylistic and playful way. You can keep your highest paid people on screen. You can keep their face on screen longer, right? Because so much of the movie and so much of comedy lies within the reactions and the delivered lines during like a situation. So keeping like, let's say the wolf combat scene, obviously it's easy to put a rubber knife in that guy's hand and then just have them move slowly through it when all Brad Pitt is doing is blocking it with a suitcase. You don't need a stunt double to do that, right? So you can have simple action where you can deliver lines and dialogue and get that comedy aspect out of it
As they're
while
doing
still
fighting.
Yeah, and then use the camera and then use your editing and your lighting, and every now and then I'm sure they had a stunt double jump in for like a flip over, like a glass bottle breaking, like you never know. To be fair, like the action in this movie was very entertaining.
Oh, 100%.
Fight Club. That's where they met. Is doing Fight Club. He was Brad Pitt's stunt double. Like he worked on The Matrix with I forget the stunt team's name already. I was watching a thing he was talking about working on The Matrix with this team, and they were the guys that in this Hong Kong team that were really famous for getting the actors and teaching the actors how to do it. Like there's one fight scene in The Matrix where it's Keanu Reeves. What's the other guy's name?
Lawrence Fishburne.
Fishburne?
You butchered that.
I butchered that.
Really
I'm sorry.
did.
Karen.
Yuri
Okay. Remember the time? Let's come back to it.
Yuri Kuchiganaga.
But it was in those movies where that team really inspired David Leitch to then doing his own film. I think that film, The 300, was that the Zack Snyder movie? The 300?
Yeah.
It was those movies he was working on with that team that he was like, you can get your actors in there doing it, and you can see them doing it. It's so much more impactful than just seeing a stunt double doing it.
Yeah.
That's where that really, listening to him talk about that was really cool. And one of the main reasons I wanted to look at this movie, because it is such a great part of the movie, being able to follow along and see them do it rather than.
Absolutely.
And then he was able to, doing Fight Club and all that kind of stuff, he was able to meet Brad Pitt and then get Brad Pitt to come in as cameo for Deadpool 2. And then they did the reverse where Ryan Reynolds was the cameo in the Brad Pitt movie.
That was the one setup and payoff that like was subtle enough to not like, they didn't like necessarily like, hey, just remember this for later. That one snuck up on me. That was like probably the best setup payoff and like probably the best meta joke of the entire thing.
There is a way deeper meta joke in there that I have for you if you want it.
Yeah, because like,
Jackie, do you want to start rapid firing your Easter eggs?
Well, if Jordan wants to finish this point, and then I could bring up my very.
I got an Easter egg. Brad Pitt was in it. Did you guys catch that? That was nuts.
That's who that was.
Nuts. The Joey King was in it. That was insane. No, because like this is a movie in the style of like a Kingsman or like The Gentleman or Deadpool, and the meta joke that Ryan Reynolds called in sick. That's kind of funny as like a whole blanket thing. But yeah, anyways, Jackson has an Easter egg that he would like to give to you. Happy Easter, everyone.
Oh, I have like 500 Easter eggs.
Holy crap, you have a lot.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
I have a whole screen worth of Easter eggs.
All right,
the super meta joke in this movie could just be me blowing it out of proportion. But at the same time, so Sandra Bullock also has her cameo in it, as well as Channing Tatum. At the same time, they were shooting a movie called The Lost City. It was like this.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a politer way to say like smut books? like love books,
It's romance.
romance novels. There,
It's
Yeah. No, I'm not even joking.
I guess, yeah.
That's just what you call them.
So like it was a movie based off like the Sandra Bullock's character writes romance novels, and then they come to life. It's Channing Tatum. They were shooting out that around the same time, and Brad Pitt makes a cameo in that. So then when Channing Tatum comes up in the movie, he's reading not the one. I don't know if it's the one from The Lost City, because I think that was called The Lost City, but he is reading a romance novel. So when he comes up, it's like, haha, they're both in the movie with Brad Pitt, who all three of them were in The Lost City.
Whoa.
That's pretty meta.
That's metaverse, right? Is that what you're meaning by meta?
Metaverse?
What do you mean by meta?
No, meta is like...
Meta is like
Meta Knight is when Kirby puts on a mask. And
Mennonites is like basically Amish, but not quite.
Yes, that's meta.
Meta Knight, yeah. That's what it is.
yeah, meta is like a super self-aware joke
Oh.
in a way.
Yeah.
Like meta is when something is extremely self-aware, almost to the point of like it's horrible.
Metatextual.
Okay, you guys want some rapid fire Easter eggs?
Mhm.
I was just loving, because I've seen this movie 3 times now, I was loving catching stuff, but Brad Pitt's shirt is a homage to his hometown of Springfield, Missouri. It also looks like a wiener on the back of his shirt, but that was intentional. The book that Little Prince is reading, Joey King's character.
Lil Prince.
That is literally what she says her name is at
Lil
the beginning of
Prince.
the movie.
It's me, Little Prince.
But they just
No,
call
it's
it the Prince.
Little Prince.
Well,
Little
catch him
Prince,
on,
not Lil Prince.
Lil
Little
Prince.
Prince and Mix McMahon.
It was good, Lil
Catch him on
Prince.
SoundCloud. What up, Little Prince?
The book that she's reading is also about an assassin trying to get revenge, which is what she's doing. The colors they're wearing are of their favorite football clubs. Tom, you'll like that. They're wearing their West Ham and Chelsea colors, which they have an audio clue to when they see the flashback of them as kids. As well as the Wolf, Bad Bunny's character, when he's a kid, he's wearing a Spanish football club. Lemon's necklace that he's wearing, it's a St. Christopher necklace. Apparently St. Christopher is the patron saint to travelers, which they're untrained, they're traveling, but also his charm is said to protect people from a watery death, which in the end, he didn't drown when he jumped off the train because he has the necklace on.
There you go.
Oh.
In the mid-credit scene.
Yeah, which that's a hilarious scene. David Leitch has a cameo twice in the movie. He's the guy that comes up that died when the photographer that comes up that gets blown up by the car. That was David Leitch.
Oh, nice. Cool story, bro.
True story. And also when White Death kills all the guys in the mob, in that scene, the guy that gets shot back into the post was David Leitch. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong about that one, but I'm pretty sure it was David Leitch. Funny. This is just a funny joke on thing that he did, but Aaron Terrell. I'm just gonna say Tangerine. Tangerine does.
It's lemon. It's actually lemon.
Does the impression of Ringo when he's making fun of
Thomas the Tank
Engine. He does the Ringo Starr impression, which is funny because he was the narrator. And then
I it's not relevant, but I was a huge Thomas kid.
Oh my
when I was
gosh,
younger,
you must
so I
have
was
loved
like,
this movie.
this guy's Lemon.
Oh, I loved it. Oh, I adored it. I was like,
Was
I love that
Lemon
part.
accurate about Diesel?
Was Lil Prince really a diesel?
Yeah, was Lil Prince a Diesel?
I appreciated the metaphors where it's like a simple kids show. It's like, oh, this is you and this is you, like the BuzzFeed quiz style.
Right?
Speaking of
I really
which,
love-
the Percy one's really funny because Logan Lerman, he's Percy Jackson. So when he puts the thing on his head saying he's Percy, it's funny because he's
You're
played
more of a
Percy
Percy, yeah.
Jackson.
Yeah,
That was funny.
That's right.
And the last thing, they say Fall Guy in the movie. He's like, I need a Fall Guy. That's why I won't let him off the train. That's the name of his next movie. It's probably unintentional, but I laughed. I went, he said the name of the movie, different movie.
Fall Guys are real.
You said it.
And then the last thing is Keanu Reeves almost played the therapist.
Oh.
There was almost a scene with Brad Pitt's therapist and it was going to be Keanu Reeves, but they didn't do it.
That's cool.
Anyways, that's all my Easter eggs.
Happy Easter, everyone.
Happy Easter.
To bring it back, I think one of the things I did like about it is it's a 2-hour movie that takes place on a train, And I think they did a good job keeping you into it and having the flashbacks and having the moments away from the train. It worked well to have a 2-hour movie that takes place on one train.
For such a
Yeah.
contained environment, it had a lot of movement. It went it was not static at all, I found.
I love a movie that takes place entirely on a train. I tried to make up a list of
What?
just from memory, because I was like, this is a genre at this point. Movies that take place entirely on trains. I came up with Murder on the Orient, Snowpiercer, Polar Express, and Source Code. You're at least gonna see like one movie every like couple years.
And then if you just go out to movies that take place on transportation, Speed.
Snakes on
That's
a
not a
plane.
train, you son of a gun.
Oh my god.
No, I said if you broaden it to transportation.
Oh yeah, if you broaden it to transport, but that's not what we're doing here. I'm talking about trains and trains exclusively. I googled.
I saw a Reddit comment that said they should make a sequel called Bullet Plane, and then they should make a prequel called like Bullet Bus, and then they should make another one called like
Bullet
Bullet
Gun.
Car, and just keep going.
The new movie from David
Bullet
Leitch.
Blimp.
Bullet Segway.
Bullet Segway. Do you guys know the guy who invented the Segway? Time on the Segway.
He died from going off a cliff off the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And that's where we end today's episode of Mixed Reviews.
Oh, we're rapping. All right.
Any final thoughts, friends?
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
They shot on a volume. Well, half LED screens. That's the only other thing I had to say.
I thought Lemon was awesome. Joey King was insufferable, but that's like actually awesome for her character. So I mean, props to her, I guess.
That's the thing too. I was like, I don't like her, but then it's like, oh, I'm not supposed to like her. There you go.
Did you guys know that the guy who plays the father is actually English?
What?
Oh, that's
He
funny.
has an English accent.
Wait, which father?
The guy who Joey King has hostage.
Oh, okay.
The guy whose son gets pushed off the building.
Oh, so he's doing an accent.
Yeah,
Interesting.
he's doing an accent. I found that out today. I thought it was-
Cameo from Hero from Heroes. He was the train conductor. The Brothertons will like
I
that.
need a hero.
I Need a Hero. Asha's favorite moment.
That was fabulous.
Japanese I Need a Hero and Japanese Staying Alive.
What did you guys think about the Japanese Bee Gees at the beginning?
Love it.
Oh, I love that. It's like Jojo Rabbit. What song was it at the beginning of Jojo Rabbit that was in German?
I actually haven't watched Jojo Rabbit, so I don't know.
What?
I know.
Oh, it was
Beatles
It was
song?
the Beatles song. No, it was Beatlemania. No, they were referencing Beatlemania.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't remember
I can't
what song
remember the
it
name
was,
of it.
but yeah. Anyways, okay. Till next time.
Wait, hang on.
Oh,
I have a note here that says jump kicks, yippee.
jump kicks.
Thank you so much.
I like that one jump kick he does. That Lemon does at the end.
Yeah, because he like kind of like bounces into it. And he's just like, I'm like, yeah, yippee.
And you see him do it again in the background of the next shot.
Bah! It's like, yeah.
You should try it.
Do it right
For
now,
our
George, for the
Patreon.
patrons. Do it right now.
Do it.
I'll do it
Drum
too.
kick, drum kick, drum kick.
Right now, Jackson, you do it. Drop kick Asha right now. First one to drop kick gets to hang out. First one to listen to this and send us a video of a drop kick gets to come on the podcast for a day. You get to shake hands with Jackson.
Okay. Okay, ready? Here to end
gonna
our
injure
podcast. We're gonna
himself.
do a jump kick to end our podcast.
Virtually, yeah.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Jackson, don't.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness gracious. I'm just
Okay,
the commentary.
Asha, commentate it for me.
Okay.
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh my god, what does he have?
Oh, that's fantastic. I can't
This
wait.
is
This is gonna be
absolutely either that
underwhelming.
or he's gonna knock down everything.
Okay.
That really hurt my back.
I'm surprised he didn't do more. I thought he was gonna like throw himself into a wall. If I'm
Okay,
being
that's it.
completely honest,
Goodbye.
But in typical Jackson fashion, hurt.
And that has been Mixed Reviews, everyone.
Bye.
Hey there, I'm Jackson's mom, and this has been Mixed Reviews with Tom McMahon, Jackson Brotherton, Jordan Vairo, and Asha Joseph. This episode was mixed, mastered, and edited by TheOldManDave. Be sure to follow our podcast on your favorite podcast app and join our Patreon for extended, ad-free, and bonus episodes. The link is in the show notes. This has been a Vanish Entertainment production. Thank you for listening.